Hey guys, it's Reagan and welcome back to another video. Today's video I am pumped for. Today we're going to be talking about my October TBR. It is officially spooky season. The weather today in Texas is beautiful. My TBR I'm absolutely thrilled to be picking up. We've got spooky atmospheric reads galore. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. The first book is a library book. I got my library card in Austin finally recently and I just had to check out a book. So I added it to my TBR because I'm really trying to not be one of those people that has one book on hold for like 3 months. But the book I picked up is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. I've heard such fantastic things about this series, and when I saw book 1 at the library, I decided to pick it up. This is the first book to a 5-book series that I've honestly seen so much praise for, and it also kind of centers one of my favorite fantasy topics, and that is humans versus gods. And in this fantasy world, the humans worship gods that they called Freya. They are invincible in battle, have powerful magic, and are seemingly immortal until one day a human successfully kills one of these gods, kind of upending the world as everyone knows it. Now only a few humans kind of stand in the way between total annihilation of the human race by these gods. And it says the age of myth is over and the age of rebellion has just begun. I'm really excited that this series is multi-POV. I've heard such fantastic things about the world and the characters. I really feel like this could possibly be a new fantasy fave, so I decided to check it out, and I will also probably be purchasing, adding to my shelf as well because I have no self-control. The next book that's on my list is Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. I've heard that this is an emotional and kind of gut-wrenching literary fiction story, and as I kind of mentioned in my fall TBR, because this centers sort of Shakespeare, it feels very fall to me. This is a literary fiction reimagining on like the proposed life of Shakespeare himself. Specifically, this is set in 1580 and the Black Death kind of grips the land. End of days seems to have arrived, but of course life always moves on, and we follow a young Latin tutor who falls in love with a very eccentric woman. We see them start a life together, move in, build a house, start a family. We also see as this young woman becomes fiercely protective of her family and also supports her husband as he begins pursuing his dream of playwriting. This book honestly just sounds really interesting. I've heard incredible things about the writing. I again hear that it's very emotional. I'm in the mood for a good cry, so I'm hoping this will be able to deliver. It's also not too long, so I feel like I'll be able to buzz through it as well. Next book on my list is actually a new release that I don't quite have in my hands just yet. That is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I read The Year of the Witching, also by this author, right when it came out a few years ago, which is like a Puritan-esque witch trial style novel. So when I saw that she was coming out with a new book this fall, it was an immediate buy for me, and I'm especially excited about this one because it seems to be centering vampires, which is always one of my favorite like literary supernatural creatures to come across. In this story, we follow our main character Marion, and Marion is desperate to escape the slums that she has grown up in, but she doesn't really have much hope to be able to do so until one day she comes across a peculiar listing for a job to become a blood mage. She doesn't know much about this particular position, but she applies, and in a matter of days she's swept north to the aristocratic area to become a blood maid, which very much sounds like it seems to appear. She is a maid to vampires. She's quickly swept up in this dark hedonistic court and begins to become a part of this like cat and mouse game. This sounds like it's going to be full of atmosphere. It seems like it's a very intense dark fantasy. I feel like Alexis Henderson is so good at creating atmosphere, and I love her main characters as well. I'm really looking forward to this one. I feel like it's a perfect October read, and I'm hoping to love it. Speaking of vampires, the next book that is on my TBR is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This book seems like it has the perfect combination of like absurdity but also horror. I did actually hear from a lot of you guys in the comments that this book does get rather spooky, which made me just immediately add it to my October TBR. This follows our main character Patricia Campbell, and she feels like her life is really small. Her husband is a workaholic, her children are growing up and leaving the house, and her to-do list just never seems to get smaller. Her only solace is this very close-knit book club that she's a part of other Charleston women, and there they are obsessed with reading true crime novels. However, everything sort of changes in the summer of 1993. A mysterious man named James sort of walks into her life, but she begins to be very suspicious of him when children on the other side of town begin to go missing, and she and this book club begin to investigate what is going on, and she's curious. Is James Harris actually a Brad Pitt, a Ted Bundy, or something much, much worse? I just truly love the concept of this kind of unlikely group of individuals trying to solve a very dangerous crime, and because I've heard that this actually gets rather gruesome, I'm very intrigued. Obviously, this just seems like a great fall read as well, and I've heard just such fantastic things about this, and I'm also hoping it's a page turner. The next book on my list is another sort of thriller story, and that is The Kingdoms by Natasha Pulley. This is a book that I feel like has been haunting my shelves ever since I picked it up last year. I've been wanting to pick it up, but just never really have made time for it. This is a thriller story that kind of has my personal favorite combination, and that is kind of an alternate history, amnesia-based thriller. I just love a weird sort of environment, and a large part of the mystery is just like figuring out what in the world is going on. And this follows our main character Joe, and the only memory he has is stepping off the train in present day in 19th century Britain, which is a colony of France. The only clue that he has about his life, his past, who he is a postcard that he finds in his pocket, written in the forbidden language of English. This postcard has a picture on a lighthouse on it, and it sort of like sends him off on a quest to figure out who he is, what's happened to him. And it says, in the process of Joe trying to find who wrote this postcard to him, he seemingly remakes history itself. Honestly, just seems like a fascinating novel. I love that it's an alternate history. I'm just really curious by it. It sounds really unique, and I'm hoping this is also a page turner as well. Next up, I have a few sort of atmospheric novels that I feel like are going to be perfect for October. And the first book is The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. This book just seems perfect for the fall season. It's also the first of a series, so I know there's other books to check out if I enjoy this one. This follows our main character Ropa, and she at the beginning of the story has just dropped out of school to pursue a career in ghost talking. Not necessarily her original plan for employment, but it pays well and she's got to pay the bills. In this job, she essentially delivers messages on behalf of ghosts to people that they feel they've left behind. Seemingly harmless, right? Until, of course, the dead begin to whisper that someone is enchanting children, leaving them husks, devoid of all joy and life. And because this is happening in Ropa City, she feels honor bound to begin to investigate, and once she does, her entire world is turned upside down. I just feel like this is going to be so good. Based on the synopsis, it feels like it's going to have a lot of great banter, humor, and charm. It's also the first book to an entire series called Edinburgh Nights. I love the setting, I love the location, I love that it's about ghosts and investigating things. It also says it has like academic style magic, and I'm really curious to see what that means. But yeah, I just feel like this is going to have a lovable main character, a really intriguing plot, and just all the fall vibes one could possibly want. Next up, I have another new release, and that is The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. This book just sounds weird in all of the ways that I love so much. It's also not too long, so I really feel like I'll be able to fly through it, but honestly, like the line "I devoured this" by V.E. Schwab is so fitting, because this is a book about like a group of people that actually eat stories for substance, and the stories themselves aren't just like paper to them. They read a romance novel or a mystery novel or a boring textbook. They all have their own like tastes, and they can also absorb the sort of subject matter of the books themselves. Like for example, if they need to make sure they don't get lost, they eat a bunch of maps. And our main character in this story is named Devin, and she is part of a very old and reclusive book eater family. Devin's brothers grew up on a diet of stories of valor and adventure, whereas Devin, like all the women in this book eater family, are raised on a very curated diet of fairy tales and cautionary stories. However, everything sort of changes for Devin when she herself has a child, and her young son seems to have a hunger for something that is not stories, but instead the human mind. This book just sounds so unique. I also love stories that center stories, and I feel like this is going to have that to the T. I also feel like it's going to have lush and lyrical writing. I'm very intrigued by this. I'm hoping I really enjoy it, and I also feel like it's a great read to pick up this month. Next up, I have a literary fiction novel that I've truly just been seeing everywhere. I'm actually buddy reading this with a friend IRL, so it's a bit of a little book club moment I'm having this month, and that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I have read another book by Gabrielle Zevin many years ago, and that is The Storied Life of A.J. Vickery, which I adored. Just the story and the characters burrowed completely into my heart. I sobbed reading that book. So needless to say, I was really thrilled she was coming out with a new literary fiction novel because I already know I enjoy her writing so much. And this book is seemingly everywhere. Everyone is loving it, reading it, is obsessed with it. Truthfully, it skyrocketed itself to the top of my TBR. And the concept of this book also sounds really cool as well. This is a story of Sadie and Sam, two very close friends who are often in love but never lovers, who have worked and collaborated together for most of their life. The story spans over about 30 years and takes us from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California. And specifically, we follow Sadie and Sam as they work together and collaborate in creating like new worlds. I think they're making really popular video games that bring them immense fame and I think money as well. And over the years of their partnership and their collaboration, I think there's a bit of rivalry. And also as they're creating like new worlds that also become very, very popular. I think this book toys with reality, failure, and the ever-evolving thing that is identity. And I also feel like it kind of examines a very intense relationship that exists over a significant period of time. I'm very curious about this. Everyone is seemingly giving it 5 stars, so I'm hoping I love it as well. Next book that is on my list is The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. This is a Rebecca Gothic sort of story. If there's one thing I love, it's a young woman who's now living in a mysterious house, hopeful for her future, but realizing that her husband is hiding a lot of secrets and she must discover what they are. And the house also is seemingly haunted and everyone around her is kind of lying and gaslighting to her. That is basically what The Hacienda is about. But this book is set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence. We follow our main character Beatrice, who after her father was executed is very down on her luck. But she agrees to a marriage, again, to a mysterious man, and she moves to his house or hacienda, hopefully securing not only her future but her safety for many years to come. But again, there's secrets, there's mystery, there's ghosts. What is going on? Is the house haunted? I want to find out. Next is a book that has graced way too many TBRs, and the fact that I haven't picked it up yet is just honestly getting silly at this point. But ever since I decided to not read it this summer, I've been strategically saving it for the month of October. So if I don't read it this month, somebody yell at me. And the book I'm talking about is Between Two Fires by Christopher Bowman. This is a fantasy medieval horror novel. The trifecta of genres I didn't realize I needed in my life, but very much do. This is a story that follows 3 main characters that come from very different walks of life as they have to traverse the French countryside during the Black Death to try to save the world. The first character we follow is a brutal knight offered one last chance at salvation. Next, we have a troubled priest whose entire parish has died, and he sort of drowns his sorrows with wine. And then lastly, we have a young girl orphaned by the Black Death, obeying the commands of angels both dark and beautiful. Need I say more? I already know I love Christopher Bowman's writing. I read The Black Tongue Thief last year. He has a great ability of combining like humor and just some of the darkest stuff you've ever read, and it just creates such an intriguing combination. I really feel like I'm gonna love this. I really am looking forward to reading it. It's finally happening this month. And then the last book that's on my list for the month of October is another new release I have been saving for this month, and I'm so thrilled. It's finally time for me to be able to pick this book up, and that is Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. This is a historical fantasy novel, which I love. It's also set in the 1800s and opens up in England and basically follows 2 young kids who have mysterious powers and their hired bodyguard, who is a disgruntled female detective who is now supposed to like transport them around the world to safety. We don't know why these kids have these powers. They also seem very dark in their like manifestation. And there are people after them and we truly do not know why. I'm really curious about this. I love historical fantasy because I just feel like it has such great ambiance and I love the time and place of it all. And this seems like it's going to have thriller components. I love that we're also moving from place to place. I'm hoping there's a bunch of different locales and just a bunch of unlikely characters creating a strong bond with one another. I've heard great things about this. It just also seems like a perfect book to pick up this fall winter. I'm hoping it's 5 out of 5 stars, but we shall see. Alrighty guys, that is my October TBR. Please let me know down below some books you hope to read this October, as I would love to know. And I will see you soon with another video soon. Goodbye!